I don't know if there's anything else you wanted to even mention right offhand.
Real quickly, I'll just mention that Tarrant County, the Tarrant County District Attorney's Office recently filed a 2503 felony on someone who's actually works in one of our district courts. And that's very fascinating because we know this doesn't really happen across the state. It should. But is that because there's so much pressure building? Is it because the George Saldana's of the world are bringing attention to it? I know there was a dad who in Tarrant County who was recently charged with harassment because he was trying to enforce 2503, and then when the cops wouldn't enforce it, he filed complaints on them and said, "Now you're violating the law. You're not. This is a felony, and it is a felony." So it's really early into this. We got to find out what was the calculation. And again, I'm not a fan of the Tarrant County District Attorney's Office, but I don't mind saying that bravo, you guys.
Yeah.
You're actually enforcing a law that if we can get more people, if they enforce this law more often, and if cities pass this new ordinance that you can to add civil penalties, we could save people from having to go to family courts.
Right.
Especially the civil penalty route, which I think is really great. But even the DAs, set some precedent. Let parents know they can't block child exchanges. I've had 2 of these this year with my son. It's very very painful to not be able to see your child when you're allowed to. So.
Yeah. There's a verse in the Old Testament that says that basically when justice is delayed or denied, or men's hearts grow bold to do evil. And when we have a lawless society, when we know that there are statutes here that should be enforced and that aren't being enforced, what does that mean? It means that I can take the actions that I should be convicted for, but I can do them and I don't have to fear anything. It's kind of like perjury. When you're in court and if you can commit perjury, knowing that you'll never be punished for perjury, but you may be rewarded in the outcome, you're going to have perjury all over the place. You start prosecuting perjury, and all of a sudden people are going to say, well, wait a minute here, I don't know. There may be a reward, but the risk may be a whole lot worse than the reward that I'm making from it.
They'll do the calculation. Humans are rational often.
Right.
So
often.
Well,
except for family courts.
But they'll do the calculation in their head and maybe won't go out and perjure themselves if their buddy got arrested for the same thing.
Absolutely.
Never happens.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, Eddie, if people want to follow your columns, or they want to say, hey, I'm very interested in what he's written, I want to go back and see what he's written, is there a place that they can follow you at? Is there a place where your columns are archived? How do they go about doing this?
Okay. You can follow me on Twitter at my initials EJB, then 4 numbers 0017. The Weekly's Instagram account at Fourth Weekly has a lot of my video interviews.
Okay.
I'm trying to, and we do a lot of, I'm pushing for a lot of family court news coverage, and they're letting me get away with it for now. This week we have a story up about judges deleting blocking people, and I actually use a photo of you talking about Baca Bennett. It's printed in this week's issue. I should have shown you that, but the Supreme Court is about to rule this year on whether that's constitutionally protected, and it is so far. So when judges block you or you don't let you comment, they're violating the First Amendment.
They are violating the First Amendment because it's skewing the free expression of speech. It's skewing the public perception of it and everything. There is case law. I forget what it is regarding that. So, that would be great. I did not.
That's okay. But I used your screenshot because back in 2020 you were mad at Baca Bennett, rightfully so, because she blocked you. And now we're finding out that Kenneth Knowles taking down his Facebook page. Jesse Navarro is taking down his Facebook page. Right. Beth Poulos has. And
Beth Poulos, by the way, kicked me out of the courtroom. I have that video too, but
and Mumford, those are the 4, and Baca Bennett, but she may have done it because of the state commission made her take it down. So
the issue with I don't know about why she took her Facebook page down, but I remember it was during COVID, and she was talking about visitation, because the way that it's kind of strange during COVID, people could have said, wait a minute, even though I'm the person who's the non-custodial parent, the way that in the time that COVID was instituted, they had possession of their kids, and there were some people that were going to say, well, wait a minute, because, and I think schools were shut down, and it said something very particular about schools.
Oh yeah, you couldn't exchange at schools.
Right, and I just said, well, wait a minute, if you can't exchange there, let them deal with it. But then what happened is with Baca Bennett, if I remember correctly, and many other people, they started ruling on a hypothetical, including the Supreme Court of Texas. And that's why I said, wait a minute, every single one of these individuals on the Supreme Court of Texas who ruled that way, they are ruling on a hypothetical. From my perspective, they have no case in front of them, no evidence of facts, and yet they're making this ruling. Now, I'm sure that they had the reasons for it. I don't know what all that was, but I thought, aren't they really actually pre-ruling on something? Because maybe somebody could come in front of them and say, and have a convincing argument. And so I thought right off the bat that if all of these judges got together and started talking about how parents should do this and parents should do that, we should be able to say, you are no longer objective.
Yeah.
You are partial, so I want you recused. And you could recuse every single judge in the state of Texas. And if you have no judges left to rule because they all have to be recused, you have no judges
They're
left.
pre-ruling. There's no one who is standing that's bringing in a case.
Right. And the judge is supposed to hear facts, but they've already disposed themselves to something, which basically says they can't be objective. Therefore, you can't get due process. You can't get impartiality in the
Okay,
ruling.
so you caught her.
Well, but that was something else that she said.
Okay.
Because I talked about something else, and she didn't like my comment. And then she blocked me, and then Delilah was still had access, and she saw what took place. And it is what it is. But that made me start to research. Are they allowed to do that? On their personal pages, yes, they can block you. But any page that they have is a government actor.
I'll send you some court rulings that are recent, circuit court rulings in California. They were talking about these two people who were blocked from school boards' Facebook pages. It was and they sued the school and won. And this is almost the level of the Supreme Court said that as an elected official, anytime you walk into a room or anything, the First Amendment follows you or something like that. But they're saying your Facebook page is now that protected public, so it's established now.
Right. Oh, it is established.
They cannot block people, and I think that's why they tore their Facebook pages down, because they're going to get caught. They get sued for violating the First Amendment.
Yeah.
So
I think that they can block you for profanity and various things like that, or threats. But
not just because they don't like what you're saying.
It is a form of free speech. And if you are allowing a person to not exercise his or her free speech as a judge,
their free speech.
Yeah. So anyway, thank you so much.
Yeah, it's been fun, chatting with you. Anytime you're in Fort Worth, I'm never going to be boring. So
I appreciate it. Appreciate all you do.
Yeah.
And for those who don't know Eddie, follow him. And also, I would say one other thing too, because you mentioned the Fort Worth Weekly. Is that what that's?
That's my main outlet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think we need to be encouraging them to say we love what he's doing, because I could see some people with some money trying to pressure them to say, hey, you've got to shut this guy down, you've got to fire him, you've got to restrict him or whatever. But I think the people of Texas should be writing to them and saying, thank you so much. You're giving us, the people of Texas, an outlet through Eddie Brown and his articles.
Thank you.
So that's my
Appreciate it. Yeah.
Anyway, Eddie,
It's
thank
been
you
fun.
so much. Stop with you again. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Jeff.